Greetings my friends, and welcome back to the channel. The lightsaber is the staple weapon of the Jedi and Sith. The recognizable hilt hanging from one's belt is enough to tip off anyone in the galaxy that they were a Jedi. With the click of a button, the brightly colored blades of plasma would spring from the hilt and be ready for action. Sometimes, just the mere sight of a lightsaber was enough to quell a conflict. Every lightsaber was unique to the user, whether shorter or longer in the hilt to accommodate for bigger or smaller appendages, or if a few stylistic choices were added to make it more aesthetically pleasing. However, there were some lightsabers that were made in such a way that it completely alters their entire function and way of use. Some extremely obscure and rare lightsabers. But although these hilt styles are unique and impressive in their own right, we wanted to take a deep dive into some of the strangest lightsaber variants in all of Star Wars lore. As today we will break down, in our opinion, some of the strangest lightsabers from both Star Wars Legends and canon. First though, according to our analytics, a lot of you that watch the channel haven't actually subscribed yet. So if you've been enjoying the daily openings of holocrons, be sure to reach out and force crush that subscribe button. Now, let us begin. We'll begin with a relatively famous lightsaber in Ezra Bridger's. Starting out with a saber that is familiar to most, we have yet to really take a deep dive into this design. Ezra's lightsaber was completely one of a kind, being constructed in such a way that it integrated a blaster into the very hilt of his lightsaber, giving it the ability to switch between blade mode and blaster mode very quickly. This is one of the most uniquely designed lightsabers that serves its function beautifully for the person and time in which it was built. It represents Ezra Bridger as a character very nicely, showcasing his ability to adapt to most any situation he is put in. The blaster integrated with the lightsaber shows that even though he is walking the Jedi path, he still cares about where he came from and will continue to live his life in service of his friends and against the Empire. Speaking of the Empire, the hilt was a great choice for hiding out during the rise of the Galactic Civil War. With Vader and the Inquisitor still hot on the trail of any Jedi or Force wielder, the blaster variation would allow Ezra to use it while keeping it low-key and not easily recognizable as a lightsaber until it was activated, similarly to how Kanan Jarrus keeps his lightsaber in two unique pieces on his belt. We definitely thought this deserved a mention on our list, as it is truly one of a kind and a very unique saber. Now though, let's delve into the obscure. Number 6. The Guard Shoto lightsaber. The Guard Shoto, also known as the Tonfa hilt, was a hilt design that featured a handle extended out from the main hilt sideways. The Guard Shoto's design allowed for a wide variety of blocking, trapping, jabbing, and slashing techniques, making it a versatile and extremely dangerous weapon in the hands of someone trained to wield it properly. A lightsaber such as this provided excellent variety of techniques unique to the weapon, as well as a finer defense. One of the only wielders of this blade type was the Dark Jedi Maris Brood, the former Jedi Padawan of Shaak Ti, only appearing in the Force Unleashed series. Next we have the Forked lightsaber. The Forked lightsaber was a variant of the Crossguard lightsaber, featuring a smaller blade emitter jutting adjacent to the main blade on just one side. Angled in a diagonal fashion, this created a fork on one side that would be extremely useful for dueling. Not only did the weapon provide more hand protection, but which the way the angle was forked, it creates a place on the blade where the wielder could catch their opponent's lightsaber and lock it in place. From here, the wielder could sweep the legs, use a force attack, or simply disarm their opponent entirely. This type of lightsaber was used by Roblio Darte, a Jedi Master who served in the Clone Wars and was a part of the Jedi Enclave on Kessel. He would eventually be killed alongside his comrades by Darth Vader in the comic issue Star Wars Purge. Still though, his lightsaber was exceptionally unique. Number 4. The Lightsaber Gauntlet. Now we are getting into the really strange sabers. This lightsaber design, rather than featuring a hilt you hold, it was a hilt you wore. A gauntlet that featured two emitters on the side of the wrists, or perhaps one at the top, gave the user a hidden blade style lightsaber. Only a few Jedi were speculated to have used this weapon, but even this hasn't been proven, as we would think that it would go against the Jedi code. But what do you think of this? The gauntlet seems like something easily concealable and perhaps a little barbaric to use. Do you think that the Jedi forbid it, or perhaps look down upon it? Or could this be a creation of the Sith and a misreading of this holocron? Next, we have the Light Whip. A weapon we have mentioned before but should like to mention again on this list, the light whip was used by only a few people such as Githany and Lady Lumaya. As the name suggests, rather than sporting a rigid blade like a sword, when the light whip ignited, a rope of plasma energy springs out of it. A weapon that was just as dangerous for the wielder as it was for the opponent, the light whip took incredible amounts of control and mastery, even more so than a standard lightsaber. It was a special weapon though, as many saber wielders were never taught how to combat against it. It was the randomness and wild sequences of the light whip are what make it so dangerous, as one can easily miscalculate where the rogue whip or strand of plasma rope may go when it is rapidly flying around. At number 2, we have another canon lightsaber in the lightsaber rifle. While not technically a lightsaber itself, we thought we would include this weapon anyway. The lightsaber rifle was seen and used only once in the Vader comics by the Jedi Jocasta Nu. Jocasta Nu was battling with Vader in the Jedi archives, as she had made a daring and risky attempt to reclaim some of the Jedi relics from within the vault. This is past the initial stages of Order 66. Caught by Vader and the Grand Inquisitor, Jocasta was forced into a corner where she used one of the most destructive weapons in the vault. The lightsaber rifle was a gun that used lightsabers as ammunition. By placing a hilt into the chamber, you were granted relatively 6 shots that fired the lightsaber's energy at max power. Power so great that it was even a threat to Vader briefly, and he could barely deflect any of the shots. However, it used so much of the lightsaber's energy that after those 6 shots were used, the lightsaber that was used for the ammunition would simply melt into oblivion. It is undocumented who first created the lightsaber rifle, but one can only imagine what they could have possibly wanted it for. And finally, at number 1, we have definitely the strangest lightsaber in the armor of Irek Ismaren. The end-all strangest lightsaber variance comes to Irek Ismaren's armor. Ismaren has a long history that we won't go into, but will summarize. Ismaren was the son of one of the Emperor's concubines by a different man. He was force sensitive and trained in the dark side while also having his entire body implanted with cybernetics. These cybernetics included an armor set that had emitters all over it. Lightsaber emitters. This gave him smaller lightsaber blades from his shoulders, forearms, wrists, and even from his knees. At this point in time, he had suffered a head injury and only wielded his lightsabers and force powers instinctively, boasting with raw power and slashing wildly at his enemies. He was an adult by the time of the Yuzhong Vong War and would eventually come into conflict with Grand Master Luke Skywalker. Nonetheless, his lightsaber design, or rather lightsaber's design, was unique to say the very least, and very much overkill that compensated for his lack of brain power. So my friends, what do you think of the strange lightsaber designs that we've covered today in Star Wars? Would you like to see another video covering the other strange lightsaber designs? And which of the ones that we covered today is your favorite? As a bonus question, do you think that Star Wars should have more strange lightsaber designs in its universe? And if you could create one, what would it look like? As always, students of the Force, thank you for watching today's holocron, and may the Force be with you.